So far, we've been working with events and DOM elements that are pretty closely related to each other. So, for example, images, and maybe if you clicked an image, you get a larger version of the image. Those things are pretty closely related. So, in the next series of movies, I'm going to be showing you how to build an audio jukebox. This is a type of project that has different kinds of events and elements. So, you'll be clicking on a list item, and that's actually going to generate an audio object. Now, media elements are super easy to do with HTML5. All you really have to do to play a sound on your page is just create an audio element with a source and maybe some controls. Now, every one of those elements has a JavaScript counterpart. And what's even cooler is that there are methods that will generate media events, like, for example, playing a song. And then there's also methods that will be created when a song finishes playing. If you want to dig into the code for audio and media in JavaScript, make sure you check out this page. You can see that there's a lot of methods and properties that you can use when working with media. So let's take a look at our HTML file. It's pretty simple. It's just a basic HTML page, calls a style sheet as well as a JS file, and it has a series of list items in an unordered list with a class of player. The interesting thing here is that we've added a data source attribute. The data element is an HTML5 attribute that allows you to generate your own properties for a tag. So the data source property doesn't really exist in HTML. It's something that I just made up. And you could do that by using data and then hyphen and then whatever you want and then define your own data. So what I wanted to do here is when I click on any one of these elements, I wanted to pass along the location of the MP3 file to my JavaScript. So that's why I added this tag right here. Now the CSS is also pretty mundane. So if you look down here at the bottom of the CSS, you'll see that there are different states for showing how the different list items should look when they're being played or when a song has been paused or while the sound is playing. So that's what all these styles are for down here. So let's go ahead and start coding. We'll go into our script file, which right now it's empty. And the first thing we're going to do, as usual, is create a variable, and we'll call this one jukebox. And it's going to point to our UL with the class of player. So document query selector. And it's going to call ul.player. Next, we're going to add an event listener to the jukebox. So we'll say jukebox.add event listener. And what we want to check for is a click event when somebody clicks on one of the list items. And then we want to execute a function, pass along an event. And we want to make sure we also pass here the value of false so that it bubbles properly. So next, we want to create the audio player, which is going to be just an audio tag. So we're going to say variable audio player, and that's going to be equal to document, and we're going to create this element. And it's going to be an audio tag. Next, we're going to change the ID of the audio element. This is going to be important later on, not right now. It's not really going to make a big difference, but it will be nice to be able to access this element later if we attach an ID element to it. So we're going to say audio player dot ID. It's going to be player. So my audio tag is going to have an ID of player, and then we're going to append this. So document, we'll attach it to the body. So this is something that you haven't seen before. We're attaching the element not to a previously existing element like an overlay, or not to, say, the list item. We're just attaching it to the body. We don't really need it to be related to our list element, but we do need it somewhere on the page. I don't want to put it right into a list element because we could be clicking on any one of these songs, and I don't want the audio player to be on the first list item I click on. I just want it to be somewhere on the page. So document body, and then append child, and then we're going to pass it audio player. So that puts it on the screen. And let's go ahead and save that. I'm going to switch over to my project, and I'll refresh. And I'm going to right click and pull up the developer tools and click on the console. It looks like I have a little bit of a JavaScript error here. Add event listener. Looks like I missed an E. So definitely have to check for that. Add event listener. Okay, back over here. Refresh. That's gone. And let's just click on one of these images. So nothing's happening right now. Let's take a look at the elements. You can see that my audio players are being generated, but no sound is playing. And now that's because we've generated the audio player and we've appended it. We haven't really told it what to play. So I need to say something like audio player and then set the location of the audio player to be I'm going to set it to something called song name, and I need to create this variable. So I'll do it right up here. Variable song name needs to be equal to the target of what I clicked on. This time I'm going to use something called get attribute. And I'm going to find the attribute data.src. And that's going to set our song name. And then we set the location of the sound to the song name. So let's go ahead and save that and see what's happening now. Refresh. Let's go ahead and press the escape key in our developer tools to get the console and the elements panel at the same time. And I'm going to click on this and see what's happening. Well, we're getting the audio with the right ID and the right source location, but it's not playing. And that's because to play a sound, you actually have to execute the play method of the sound. So to do that, once I append the child, I'm going to say audio player and then execute the play command. And then I'm going to refresh this page and I'll play this one because I know it's short. If you get too tired of it, just hit refresh and it'll stop playing the song for right now. This is one of the problems with this code right now. It doesn't let you stop any of these. And you can play more than one of them in a row. So we'll need to fix that eventually. But let me talk a little bit about what we did here. Now, normally you can access any element or any property of an object by just using dot notations. So you could say something like e.target.src. But the data source attribute, as we mentioned before, is not a standard attribute. So we can't just say e.target.data-source. It doesn't really exist. And so to get to that attribute, we have to use this notation, which is e.target and then get an attribute. You can also set an attribute if you want to, but this works pretty well. And the only thing you have to do is remember that you have to play this. So really, playing a song isn't too hard. We can create a play event using the play method. Unfortunately, this is going to make the song play at the same time as some of the other songs if you click on another element. And when a song stops playing, our player is not going to update. So if we go over here and we play this song, again, this is the shortest one. So note that the audio player is still there and it should really be gone. Another thing that we're not doing is identifying which song we're currently playing. So let's see, if you look, this is the song that's currently playing. So I should set the ID of this element to something like playing that will attach the proper style. Let's see. We need to do that. So actually we set the ID of the song to player, but we haven't set the ID of the element that we clicked on. So we should do that as well. So e.target.id. And what you want to do is set it to one of the previous styles that you've created for that. So remember, we have a playing ID style. And if we do that, it's going to look a little different. So what we need to do is in the JavaScript, set this to playing. Right, and when we refresh and we actually click on this, you'll see that it looks, let me refresh to stop it. It looks a little bit different when we click on it. So let's go ahead and click it and we'll wait until the end of it. All right, so when the song is over, the problem is it's not unplaying or unsetting this item as being played. And we still have the audio element here. This should be gone because the song is no longer playing. And if you open this up, you can see that we've got the ID right here on this element. This ID should be gone. Those are things we'll start to worry about in the next movie.